couple questions just for the pregame show. We're just doing a little 9/11 thing. All yours. All right. David, what are your thoughts being back in New York and specifically on this day, 9/11, and the role that baseball played in getting back and the process of that after taking a week off back when it happened?
Well, you know, the last 3 years we've been here as a team on 9/11. I've been going over the financial district everywhere. The big tragedy was, and we had a fundraiser for Heroes for Homes and a bunch of other ones. But it's just it's tough. I always want to go back over there and visit with the people that suffered dearly. The firm that I was in almost lost 700 employees. And so it's good that we can remember it.
Do you remember when Mike Piazza hit that game-winning home run here? Well, it was Shea Stadium at the time. Do you have any memory of that moment for the Mets?
No, I remember him hitting it, but
What about for you personally, coming back here for the last time? What sort of emotions and what comes to mind when you play the Mets of, you know, being a manager and this being the last time?
Well, I mean, every time I've come here since I was, you know, it always feels like home to me. You know, I love the fans. It's a great baseball town. Everybody's very intelligent here, so it's challenging. I love it.
The Mets Ball Club tends to employ a lot of the 86 team. There's been a lot of guys who've come through the system. So what's it like being able to see them, Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez and Teffel and all those guys?
Well, it's really great. Yesterday I got a chance to sit down with Ron Darling and talk, and that brings back, I'm not very nostalgic and I don't live in the past, as you know, but seeing those guys, and you can't help but think of all the little things that happened and the successes and the failures and the struggles, but it's always great. Well, he threw his second pin, and he really felt good afterwards. Stuff was good. He's going to take 2 more days off and do it again. And then I think Kat said maybe throw to some hitters and see where he's at. But he said today was the best he's felt.
So it sounds like it could be like a week or two from actually getting in a game.
I think a little further than that, and we definitely don't want to rush him back. We want to make sure he's 100% healthy. He wouldn't be able to. You can't get him stretched out enough to start. You could get him stretched out enough for any pitching game.
You say he's going to face hitters. You mean on Saturday he'll face hitters?
No.
Oh.
He'll have definitely have 2 more mound sessions, and then if they go well, and that's going to be that'll take 6 more days, and then he'll have a couple days off, and maybe we might have a little sim game and then face hitters. See how we are there.
David, I don't know if you get a chance to see this team from afar, giving in position, but can you make a correlation between the young arms they have now, similar to when you first got to the Mets?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's drawing comparisons with Harvey and Gooden. Both of them have great stuff. Both of them have great command. Wheeler's another young horse. When you compare him with Darling, although he throws a little harder than Darling. But I like their pitching staff. It's a very good pitching staff. They get a few little problems ironed out. They could be tough.
Dave, what do you like about Harper in the cleanup spot?
Give JW a little more protection with a left-handed bat behind him. Generally you put your best hitter in the 3-hole. And I think it's quite obvious he's the best hitter.
Are you, he's never been a guy before. I mean, he's for power before like this. He's never really contended for a batting title like he is now. Did you see that in him? Is it a surprise that he's ever decided?
When he's been making adjustments, he's had this couple of hand injuries, but he's been making adjustments, and he made a little adjustments about 3 weeks ago, where he got his hands away from his body and held it a little higher up. That makes him very direct to the ball, and he's one of the strongest guys in baseball. I mean, he's put on exhibitions in BP, second to none. But when you're so direct with the stroke, I mean, it makes his timing so much more better. And he's not swinging hard, and he's hitting rockets. And he's in a real good place, you know. And Span's in a good place, and I think they've amped up the offense enough where everybody else is feeling very confident.
Are you planning on sticking with Rendon and Lombardozzi basically like every other day for the rest of the way?
I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I just look sometimes at the stat sheet and use Earl Weaver's line. Well, this guy hits him better because that guy can't hit him. That kind of thing. But and you know, Rendon is probably the longest time, most games he's ever played in his life. So he's not on the innings limit, but I'm taking it easy on him.
When all said and done, what do you think you're going to miss the most about the day-to-day on the field of managing?
Well, I really love, you know, watching the games. I love baseball. I don't care what level it's at. You know, I love it being in uniform and being around the guys and the competition that comes from that. I love everything. I even like talking to you guys. You know, that doesn't bother me. The tough thing is, you know, lugging that suitcase around and going into hotels and getting on airplanes and riding buses. I could do without that.
Davey, Keith Hernandez told me yesterday that he was shocked in 1986 when you predicted that the team would win the World Series. You said this during spring training. I was just wondering, I want to ask you, can you predict what the Nationals are going to do? Will they make the wild card spot?
Well, first of all, I managed the Mets for a couple of years, and we eliminated we had some weaknesses early on offensively, and we had some weaks in the pen and also on the bench. We got better the next year, and then we made a couple final additions over the thing, and I didn't see us having any weaknesses on the ball club. I was here the half a year in 2011, and I said if we did play up our potential, we could win our division, which we did. And I said, you know, shortly after that, World Series or bust, and because I knew it was going to be my last year. But we lost a few key players, you know, over the offseason. It changed the dynamics of the bullpen. Picking up a player, we had pretty much a set lineup, so that we need to have a little different configuration on the bench. So I still think we can make the playoffs. We still have a few little things that we need to fix, so that the next guy coming in and say we're going to win a World Series. There's a few things with the starting pitching that needs to be squared away. It wasn't as consistent last year, and the bullpen is not nearly as efficient and effective as it was last year. So those are and the bench has not been as productive. So I think I still like the talent, but we lack some experience in those areas I talked about. So for me to be really sure, I usually like to have my stacked hand before I make those predictions.
So you said that this year because it was your last year?
I said that, and I said that prior to knowing that we were going to lose a few guys and have a little different makeup.
Oh, you mean at the end of last year?
Yeah, yes, right.
Rather than this.
Winter meetings, you said.
Winter meetings,
Winter
yeah.
meetings,
Yeah.
you said World Series.
And we lost, the configuration changed, and then we had some injuries. We didn't have a lot of depth in pitching. So, I mean, I wouldn't have been as cocky coming out and saying we're going to dominate and win the World Series if all those things I knew were set in place and that we had fallback positions.
Obviously, you guys have played real well the last month or so. Do you wonder, do you have ideas on why it didn't happen early?
Yeah, for a lot of things I just alluded to. I don't know if you were listening to me or not.
I was.
You know, you can't have any weaknesses on a ball club. You can't have any weaknesses. You don't win a pennant with 18 guys or 20 guys. You win it with 25. And every man on that team is very invaluable if you want to win. Believe me, I've been there. I've done this a few times. And a lot of times, you know, some young guys can stand up and fill a void. But a lot of times it takes them a while to get to that level of being a champion caliber player on a first division club. So